Welcome to Greenable Woodbridge. I am your host, Carolyn Ehrlich, and today we have a very exciting program to talk about. I think this may be one of the biggest hits, aside from the concerts maybe, that we have ever had in this town. And with me to talk about this is Councilman Greg Ficarra, and my right-hand person, and it just seems like the more I do with sustainability and energy and resiliency, always there right next to me, Tom Flynn, my in-house expert on the world. So after years, and Tom will talk about the years of looking for the right company to do the bike share program, we finally got it to go live. And you know, after talking to, I don't remember, you'll tell us how many companies, I finally said to Tom, let's just do it on our own. So tell us how we got to the bike share.
Right, absolutely, Carol. Yeah. Right, and it's a great journey because we learned so much in the process, right? So we talked to a lot of different companies. I want to say at least 5 or 6 over the years, but so many of them wanted these big signs with advertising, and they wanted the rights to use our right-of-way, and it never really made the most sense for us. We always knew that we wanted actual docks. We never wanted the bikes littered wherever folks kind of left them for safety purposes and security purposes, and so that's what kind of birthed this process, right, of just doing it ourselves the right way.
Exactly. And so how does the program work? Guys, both of you.
So the best way to explain it right is it works as easily as possible with a smartphone device. So you download the Movatic app and you get close to the bike that you want to rent. You enter the bike number, you unlock the bike, you have 10 seconds, it beeps, unlocks, and you're off to go safely and riding. That's as simple as it is.
And where are the bikes now, Councilman?
The bikes are at the park, Tansman Park, right across the street from the Woodbridge train station. We have one at the new Girl Scout Park on North William Street. Is it North William Street in Hope Lawn? And then, of course, at Carlson Park, right across from Moby Dick's, no commercial here, down on our waterfront. So 3 great locations that, you know, whether you're out looking to grab something to eat on Main Street, or you want to do the Greenway in Hope Lawn, or our beautiful waterfront down in Seawarren, you got a bike and and it's free.
Right. So the bikes at the Greenway have to stay at the Greenway.
Right.
The other bikes can go back and forth. And I met a man from Woodbridge who walked to Seawarren, got on the bike, rode the bike from Seawarren back to Woodbridge, and docked the bike back in the Woodbridge rack. So that is exactly what we were talking about. And our goal is at least to have these bikes eventually in every part of town.
Right.
So all 10 towns, there'll be 10 bike racks. And we're also working on bike lanes. We've got the one up in Hope Lawn, and we should be having one in Seawarren to go along with these bikes very, very shortly. So, you know, a lot of people have a lot of questions about how these bikes work. How does the app work? What are the rules? How do you unlock it? How do you lock it back in place? And we have put together a video that answers all those questions. So let's just take a break for a minute and view the video.
Welcome to the Woodbridge Bike Share program. To get started, please download the free Movatic app on the Apple App Store or Google Play. Each rider must load the app and only one bike per phone. You will need to input a credit or debit card to cover any damage or loss, but the bike is free to ride. If you see damage to the bike you want to rent, please report the issue through the Movatic app. To rent a bike, please make sure the Bluetooth function of your phone is turned on, and the app will then be able to determine your location. Select the number of the bike you want to ride. Make sure you're close to the rack when removing the bike. Once you hit the app, you're going to have to accept the terms and agreement. Once you press the button, you have 10 seconds to take the bike out of the rack. If you take more than 10 seconds to remove the bike, please try again. There's a couple of features on the bike we wanted to show you. First, for your comfort, the seat is adjustable. There's a lever here that you open and close, and then it locks in. If you want to park the bike to take a rest, you step on the kickstand and back it up. Of course, we got a little bell here for safety as you come upon people. And then for your riding pleasure, there's a gear shift here that allows you to change gears depending on whether you're going uphill, flatland, or you really want to crank it up. If you're riding the bike and you need a brake, you have a very convenient U-bolt in the back that serves as a lock. You take it out, you insert it in the 2 holes at the side, and you put it into the locking mechanism. Make sure it's secure. Take the key out, and you're ready to go. When you are finished with the rental, simply put the bike into the open rack and the bike will lock in. Then go to the Movatic app, press on the active circle to see your current rental, and press End Rental to confirm the bike has been returned. Thank you for watching our Woodbridge Bike Share video. Please remember, always safety first, wear your helmet, and enjoy the ride.
Wow, they put together a phenomenal video. Now, I mean, you can't possibly have any more questions, but we do, so we'll get to them later. While we were watching the video, you mentioned one of the major differences about this bike share program with other bike shares around the country. What was that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, after we did the video and being proud of the program, I did share it with friends around the country. And the difference, there are bike sharing programs out there all over the U.S., but most of them you have to pay for the bike. Mm-hmm. So when they asked me, how did you pull that off? And I said, I don't know, I got to ask Tom.
Right, and to that point, Councilman, it's just so important to note this for social equity and mobility and transportation. The fact that it's free, and it's free by design, right? So we were so lucky to have a grant from Sustainable Jersey to fund half of this, right? So to fund about $10,000, and then graciously through Bayshore companies to sponsor the program as well. So basically, the program paid for itself. This is not a moneymaker for the town. This is this is a design implementation to allow folks the mobility necessary to reduce carbon emissions, to reduce the tailpipe emissions that come off of those single trips, those couple-mile trips, and better recreational access for health.
Yeah, and then on top of that, when you look at it, if you're riding a bike instead of using your car, you're helping yourself out, your own personal help, and in general, maybe cutting back on some of the expenses for medical use. So the whole spectrum is covered by this simple program.
Mm-hmm. And I got some news this morning about we broke a milestone here with riders. How many do we have as of today?
So over 1,000 rides.
Oh.
Close to 400 different users using the bike sharing system. Only about a month in, so we're so happy, so happy.
It is just amazing.
Yeah, I've been able to. I do a lot of walking in these areas that the bikes are in just by chance, and it's so exciting to see the bike because they're so you can see them in the background. They're nice looking bikes, and you can see them. You pick them out, right away. So it's really a very, very nice feeling, and a lot of times it's either friends together or families together. Mm-hmm. So that's just another added bonus, getting
Absolutely.
People together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I am not a bike rider, but these are so nice looking, and they're tempting, that I'm actually thinking when there's nobody around, I might try to get on a bike and see what happens. So, which is, I think, what a lot of people are doing.
Absolutely.
So, I just want to remind everybody that you have to bring your helmet.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's all about safety.
Yes.
Follow the rules of the road. Any other tips about safety that we should be talking about?
So the bike sharing signs, we have some small educational signage by the systems, just to let folks know it's never safe to go on a road that's 35 miles per hour or higher. Just to share the road with traffic, always use hand signals, and just have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I think also, the areas that the bicycles are in are desirable areas, not only for you on a bike, but for people in cars, unfortunately. So if you're down by the water, human nature, sometimes you're driving and you're looking out at the beautiful waterfront and everything else. So you know, like we say, you got to drive. You have to ride your bike defensively.
Right.
You have to anticipate, and you know, there's a lot of responsibility there, but it sure is fun. That's for sure.
And you know, there's a lot of talk about the last mile to work. You know, it's great if you could take the train, but if you're a mile away from the train station, either your job or your home, you're going to get in the car and go to the train station. The more bikes we get, the more we'll be able to take care of that mile. But right now, for instance, if you live in Seawarren and you want to go to the Woodbridge train station, you can take the bike from here and park it in Woodbridge and then go to work, come back, and take a bike back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's a beautiful thing, right? And vice versa. You know, someone might come off of the Woodbridge train station, and their first thought might be, you know, to call some kind of a driving service, right? But when you see a free bike sharing service that allows you to get to where you have to be, that's certainly an advantageous way to get around.
Right, right. So we were talking about the health before, and one of the very new things that we're working on is a Sustainable Jersey Gold Star Health Task Force. And this fits in so beautifully. You talked about the health and the equity and health in all policies. And this is living proof of how important that we feel being healthy is in Woodbridge.
Absolutely.
So, and you've been involved with this from the very start.
Yeah.
This is probably for you, Councilman, like a climax of all the things that you've been working on and saying from the council dais for quite a while.
Yeah,
so congratulations.
I think, and thank you, it's a team effort for sure. And again, as you said earlier on, having Tom on the team really helps. But, you know, for the longest time, we were a committee that really was built around events. It was built around the bike tour that we do the last Sunday in September, or the Crossroads race in early September, or the pizza run in July. And they're all very good events, and they're traditional events. But when you talk about a program like this bike sharing program, it's backed up by statistics and data that show how important it is. And that's what we're trying to do a little bit more, be driven by the data. Where's the needs of our community? And as you said, this is a perfect example. When you look at all of the positive things that happen from one program, this is a shining example of when people come together, what you can do.
Right, right. And so we do get a lot of questions. So I was given a list of some of the frequently asked questions. So I will read them, and either one of you can answer them. Why can I only rent one bike per phone? You
Go
got
ahead.
it, Tom.
So the basis of that is to basically have a little bit more security for the rider, you know, so the individual that's renting the bike is the individual that has the phone, right? So we have to make sure that the person agrees to these terms and conditions, which, you know, some of them involve being 18 years of older, understanding that you're taking a risk when you share the road, right? So it's not that we want to preclude families from using this, but we want to make sure that each individual person that gets on a bike can actually understand these terms and conditions, right? And that does go to the back end, Carol, I have to say. So these questions come into our dashboard on the other side.
Yes.
And I have to give a huge shout out to our Public Works Director, George Brew, and Samantha Garrity, and the whole communications team, Megan Kushba and Kelly Mitch, because these questions come in and we try our best to field them. And there's actually people interacting with people here. It's not a machine talking to a person. So we really try our best to get back to everyone as soon as possible. But that's the short answer to that question.
Thank you. That's a perfect answer. Another question that is asked a lot, and I think it was answered in the video, but why do I have to use my charge card if you're not charging me?
So sure. So and behind the kind of thesis behind that is that, you know, these still are pieces of infrastructure that the town now owns and operates, right? So again, back to our awesome public works team. They will have to maintain these bikes, and God forbid something were to be vandalized or stolen. We do have to have some kind of a check on behavior, right? So we certainly don't want to charge anyone. We haven't had to do that. We don't anticipate having to do that. But if it ever were to come to that situation, we do want to be able to have that kind of control and say, hey, listen, it looks like you might have did something a little, out of check here.
So, absolutely, and the public works guys, this has become their project,
Yes.
and they look out for them. They have a what would you call it? A gizmo, a meter
Right.
that they use to see how the power is doing. Can you explain that?
Right, so our park supervisor, Bobby Higgins, he has a device on his phone that allows him to go up to each of these bikes and check the battery associated with the locking mechanism to make sure that when folks take out the bike, there's enough battery that allows them to put the bike back at its docking station. In addition to that, if someone were to report in the app that there's a flat tire or anything of that nature, our folks at DPW can use this maintenance app to go in and say, hey, let me take this bike out without having to rent it, and generating those metrics that go back to the rides and take it out for a service.
They have been
Amazing.
unbelievable.
Amazing.
Public Works has been supportive of everything
Yes.
that we do, and they get as passionate about it as we do. I mean, from our rain gardens
Yes.
to the way they plant and everything, the blue acres, they are just there. And I think a lot of people just think Public Works is sanitation,
Right.
and they do a phenomenal job at that. But so much that you see that's going on that's great in the town is thanks to Public Works.
Absolutely. I think when you look at it, it's aesthetically, even I'm looking at the picture behind you,
Yeah.
it is aesthetically so nice and easy to look at. And really with all of the technical stuff that Tom mentioned, it's a very simple process, but it's very high tech. I mean, when you get down to it, it's so easy. And if you follow the steps on the video that you saw, the folks watching the show, it's a pretty easy thing. It's amazing when you put it in, all of a sudden you hear click, and then you take that bike out, and then you're off, and then you're just riding the bike. And even the little things like managing the height of the seat, if you're a tall person like I am, or wherever you are, you're going to get yourself perfectly comfortable. The gears on the handle to adjust to whether you're going downhill or flat or going up. I mean, it's a really high-tech piece of machinery. As those bikes look like they're solid, you can pick them up with one hand. They're very light, and the basket in the back with the Monte Carlo and the Bayshore thing is cool for putting your backpack back there or whatever. You can't beat it. It's really, really cool.
Okay, so here's a question from me, and I am representing all the bike dummies out there. When do you use which gear which gear do you use to go up a hill, or which gear is which?
Yeah, I think you'll get a feel for it. The higher the gear, the harder it is to pedal. So if you're going down the hill or on a flat thing and you want to feel the wind in your hair and you want to go fast, then you're going to put it on gear 3.
Never will.
The pedaling is a little harder, but you'll go faster. If you're going up an incline, you want to go on a lower gear 1, and you pedal more, but it's easy, even when you're going up an incline.
Okay, here's another question for somebody like me. I'm riding on the bike. I'm fine, but the bike got dented or damaged. What do I do?
And that's a great question. And so there's a communication piece within the app. So once you download the app to be able to rent the bike, there's a communication log that allows you to say, hey, listen, this was a complete accident. This is what happened, and there's almost an instant feed back and forth between the folks managing the dashboard side and the customer to better understand what happened. Certainly make sure they're okay, and just to not have to worry about the charge. We understand things happen, and we hope that person would be okay.
Right. When we were talking about sponsors and how these 3 racks got paid for. Right. I need to do a little bit of commercial. If anybody wants to make a donation to Greenable Woodbridge to help pay for more bikes, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
But we're not waiting for the donations. We're going to move forward. But just putting it out there, right, that it's not, somebody has to pay for it.
Right.
I think, nowadays where people are concerned about sustainable and health and environment, what better way? I mean, when you look at a healthy person going down the street with a bicycle with Bayshore on it, I mean, you know, it really is, it just speaks volumes of the mission of your company or you as a person, what you believe in. So
Exactly.
I think that's a, you know, it's a very appropriate commercial that you're doing.
And I think each bike we were talking about, it was about $1,500 for a bike.
Yeah,
A
close
little
to
less
that.
around,
Yeah,
around
about
there.
there, Cal. Yep,
So
yep.
depending on how many bikes you want to sponsor,
Right.
that's what you can do.
Exactly.
And if you're a young child and you want to pay something, we'll take $10.
Certainly.
So how, let's just one more time explain how the locking system works and why sometimes people feel like I did everything I'm supposed to and I can't get the bike out.
Right.
Why is that?
So, you know, we think it has a little bit to do with the kind of natural tendency to want to put your phone away before you start this ride process, right? So a lot of times what folks don't realize is the timer on the lock mechanism is counting down the second you begin to unlock that bike. So you want to just, you know, pull it out of the lock first and then get yourself situated, you know, put your phone away, put anything you need in your basket, and then you should be good to go.
Right. Terrific. So I'm going to, have you ridden on the bikes yet?
Yes, I was the person on the video. That's
right.
Yeah, so, but I did have a little help because it was Megan that was doing all of that stuff. But the one thing that I noticed, even myself, when we were doing the video, is that I think like anything else with technology, if it's new to you, don't rush through it. Take your time, take a deep breath. You know, it's as simple as when you're putting things in, you still have to press accept. You know, you got to do a lot of those little things instead of just moving on. But, you know, you get through it one time, it guides you through. You can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you start over again.
Yeah.
And you know, there are the sounds, like you said, the clicking sounds and those kind of things. But I think as Tom said, you know, and now with that video, no thanks to me, to the guys here and the gals in TV 35, the video says it all. And if you follow those steps, you can literally, I believe you can scan a QR code at the stations, and that instructive video will come up, and follow it. Just take a deep breath, and it'll work out just fine.
We are getting so high tech.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's because we have so many young people working on our staff. They know how to do this.
Right.
So,
right. Absolutely.
So anything else? What are we missing?
Just a huge thanks to you, Carol, and to the mayor. I mean, this was a long process, and we stuck with it thanks to everyone's leadership and just kind of digging our heels in, making sure we do it right. And we truly feel like we have, and we think folks do too.
And another thing that I mentioned it before, but that we're really looking forward to, is more bike lanes. And as we do them throughout the town, I think it's important to let people know. So if we're doing a bike lane in front of your house, it's not going to impact the parking in front of your house. It's so, you know, don't get upset, oh, they're taking away my parking spot. No, it's just kind of share the road. And we'll put arrows in the street so you can follow the lane. And you know the bike path right now goes to the right, so that we're keeping you away from the busy roads and in the nice roads. So so check out Hope Lawn, see what we did there. And like I said, we're going to do C. Warren, and hopefully we hope to connect bike lanes throughout the town, and that fits so much into everything that we're doing for health.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine if this has been something that I've been wanting to do, is to have paths and trails and bike lanes from Ford's all the way through down to the corner of Colonia, and to be able to walk and ride the whole entire way.
Absolutely. I think, you know, you had mentioned when you gave the example of the gentleman from Woodbridge Township that said he walked to our bike sharing, then he hopped on the bike. Well, that hits it all. I mean, that, you know, you're looking at all different levels of health and wellness. You know, you walk is always good for you. Now you have these free bikes that are right there.
Right.
I mean, there's no excuse, folks. Get out there and exercise.
And now in the times of the Olympics, if he had gone to the community center, he could have done a triathlon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So we have a few minutes left, if you don't mind, I'd like to have each of you take a turn to wrap this up, and what does this bike share program mean to you?
I think it just encapsulates everything between how important health and the environment are tied together, right? So we talked a little bit before, but for every mile that a standard car with a normal tailpipe emission goes, it's usually about 400 grams of CO2 emitted. So if you think about that and you think about these short trips that are made, they add up, right? And we certainly can't quantify every single trip to say that, someone else would have been taking a car. But what we can say is you're certainly getting on a bike and you're exercising, and it's health and wellness. And it's just, it all comes together. And it's just a beautiful way to talk about Greenable Woodbridge and how health, wellness, and sustainability just all marry.
Terrific.
If you take a look at the locations of where the bike sharing are in Hope Lawn and North Williams Park, you've got direct access to the Middlesex County Greenway, which is 3.5 miles one way. So if you take it to the end and back, you got 7 miles. If you're down at the C. Warren waterfront, you can go along our waterfront, have access to Alvin P. Williams Park and go around. So it's so beautiful. And then downtown over here by the train station, you have access to different places where you might want to go eat, or get a smoothie. You want a smoothie, or
right.
our new ice cream place, or go do a little shopping. You got your basket there. So it's not only practical, but it's healthy. So it's just a home run all the way around.
Right, and it's really one of the biggest things, and we have gotten such a great response from the public, and which is, in our business, that's always great to happen. So I want to thank both of you for being on the show and also being a part of making this happen. Bikes all over town. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So thank you. Thank you for being guests, and thank you for watching Greenable Woodbridge and being part of the change and part of the excitement.